What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? We are going through day 17 of the Trump trial. Um, so Michael Cohen is testifying. They started with his direct yesterday, and that's going to continue. And I think after lunch ends up being his cross-examination. That's probably going to last, at obviously the end of the day, and probably well into tomorrow. Um, Prosecution is going to be uh, cross examination is going to be or what is it, cross examination. Prosecution is going to be apparently going to be God, what is the fucking word I'm looking for? They may end up resting today, may finishing their case in chief. Or this week, I mean. So, and odds are, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen at the end of the week. I suspect Conan's testimony is going to take the majority of the week, probably tomorrow. Or, yeah, probably, well, at the recording, Wednesday, which is tomorrow for me because I'm recording this a day early, because I'm busy this morning. So that's my guess, is that's what's going to happen. So we'll see. We're going to go through it. We're going to check and see what happened. I'm so mad that this is not being recorded live and I cannot watch this live because it's irritating that is not happening. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, little housekeeping. Make sure you follow me on X at officialwghost. That's the best way to find out when I go live or a video is dropping. You can also see my various tweets and all the fun times I have. You can also watch me live when I do stream live because I normally post stream to X. Rumble is rumble.com/withghost. That is the best place, regardless of what happens. I will always be on Rumble unless Rumble disappears. youtube.com/@withghost is the YouTube. Twitch.tv/officialwithghost is obviously, it's going to be my Twitch. And then gaming channels are going to be on Rumble, Gaming with Ghost, and on YouTube at Official Gaming with Ghost. Those are the various channels that you can check out. So, and just make sure that you like the video, and let's get to it. Let's check out what happened at the trial. Just see what happened. All right. Okay. Hold on. Looks like something happened. Gotta go further down. God damn it. Every single time it's fucking. All right. So court is in session. Judge is on the bench. Court is in session. Steinglass is asked to approach the bench. What for, I wonder? They don't say. Let's see. Prosecution is now continuing its questioning of Conan. Hoffinger is picking back up. She was the one examining him yesterday, doing the direct yesterday. With Cohen's meeting with Trump and Weiselberg and the planned reimbursement. That all we got is his word on that, by the way. There's no evidence so far that the prosecution has presented that shows that this actually even happened. Let's see. Jury is, what I mean by that is that Trump was involved. And what he claims was that they're going to pay him, and make it look like a retainer instead of making it look like a reimbursement. That's what he claimed happened in that meeting. We have no proof of that. The jury is seeing an email from former Trump Organization controller Jeff McConney from February 6th of 2017. Just a reminder to get me the invoices you spoke to Alan about, it reads. Jury previously saw this email. Yeah, we saw that back when McConney testified. Last week, I believe it was. McConney is discussing an Oval Office meeting with Trump. McConney says he visited the White House that same day, and had a conversation with Trump in the Oval Office. I was sitting with President Trump, and he asked if I was okay. He asked if I needed money, and I said, no, all good. He said, because I can get a check. I said, no, I'm okay. He said, all right, just make sure you deal with Alan. Conan testified. Hoffinger asked whether Trump said anything about what would be forthcoming to Conan. Yes, it would be a check for January and February, Conan says. Let's see. Prosecutors say that Conan in February of 2017. Oh, never mind. We've been through that. Not important. Juries is shown a picture of Conan at the White House following the meeting at Trump. So this is their way of trying to prove, hey, see, this actually happened. He was actually there. We got, juries are being shown evidence of the photo of Michael Conan in the White House briefing room, which was displayed previously. So he took the photo from the briefing room at the podium after the meeting with Trump, where the reimbursement from Daniels' hush money payment was discussed. Again, this is them trying to lend credibility because Conan's not a credible person. So that's what they're saying. It's like, see, he's telling the truth. He was there that day. But, what's not proven is that he was in the Oval Office and had any type of discussion that day with Trump. No proof of that. Let's see. Trump aired his grievances about the hush money. Oh, no. That's something to record. Conan says he put the White House meeting in his calendar, something he did not normally do. He said it was to commemorate seeing President Trump in the White House meeting with POTUS. The electronic calendar entry reads. So he did something he normally does. Interesting. And he did it in a way that shows that it was recorded. It's kind of weird, don't you think? Jury is now seeing emails between McConney and Conan. One of them dated February 14th, 2017. Conan asked McConney to remind him the amount he was supposed to invoice. McConney responded to remind him it was $35,000 per month. The email shows. Hoffinger confirmed that Conan that there had been a retainer agreement. It would be occupied by an agreed upon monthly amount, but there was no retainer agreement. Hoffinger said. Conan says there wasn't one. Conan's tone and manner is so far the same as Monday. He is careful, measured, even tone. That's what he claims. But they apparently agreed to this amount, $35 per month. It's not. I don't believe it changes or rises or decreases at all during this entire time. I think he gets paid the same amount that he has. So I don't think that's actually very accurate. There was a monthly agreed upon amount, a monthly amount. Just because Conan didn't remember it doesn't mean there was an agreed monthly amount, unless the various the checks failed. From my understanding, and maybe I missed something, I don't know, but maybe I missed something that and it shows that the various checks varied for different amounts. I don't know. I don't remember seeing any or hearing about any of that. But again, this is just Conan's word. And the question is, how much do you believe Conan? Conan emailed an invoice to McConney on February 14th, 2017, including two $35,000 payments from January and February. So there we go. There's a set amount right there. Okay. And I don't think generally, I mean, you can have I would think you can have an oral retainer agreement. It's not smart, but you can have that, as oral contracts are legal as well. You just need to have proof of that two people said it, which Weisselberg could be proof. Hoffinger asked if the invoices he sent were consistent with directions given by Weisselberg. Yes, ma'am, Conan says. Let's see. Conan confirmed the invoices were actually reimbursement for the hush money payment and not for legal services. That's what he says. Hoffinger is asked whether the description in the invoices for legal service rendered was true. No, ma'am, Conan says. Hoffinger again asks Conan what the payments were actually for. He said reimbursements to me of the money, the hush money fee, along with Red Finch and the bonus. Was this a false record? Hoffinger asks. Yes, ma'am, Conan says. Hoffinger going on to ask, were any of those invoices that you submitted based on services performed for the months indicated pursuant to a retainer agreement? No, ma'am, they were for a reimbursement. Now, I just want to check something out. Hold on. Nothing really clear. Oh, yeah. So it's a prepayment for legal services to be rendered. So, I don't think that means that you can have, I think, and I could be wrong, but you could have an agreement, a retainer agreement, and then not end up using it and still be paying into it as you're paying for the possibility of said services. I think. I don't know exactly if you are required to actually use those services. You can just put someone on a retainer, and if you don't use them, but you still pay them for the possible. I don't know. I really don't know. Hoffinger asked Conan if he received 11 checks in response to those 11 invoices for a total of $420K. Yes, ma'am, Conan says. So this and again, another thing is this frugal man that Trump has been accused of being a frugal man has paid Conan $420K, which is a lot more than, what was it, the 150 or 150, whatever it was, K that he gave Stormy Daniels. So he's paid far more than that. But apparently that a frugal man did all this to repay a reimbursement. That doesn't make much sense to me. Prosecutor is now going through the invoice, the check stub, and check for March. Check stub states it's a payment for a retainer agreement. Was this, in fact, a retainer for that month? Hoffinger asks. No, ma'am, says Conan. Was the description in the check stub a false statement? Conan confirms it was. Trump was charged by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg last year with 34 counts of falsified business records. And again, you're going to have to provide more proof than just Conan saying, no, this wasn't what it was. So far, I don't think this is sufficient proof to be like, yeah, no, this was falsified records. You're just having Conan say this was not reimbursement. This was not a retainer. But he gave you far more than what the reimbursement actually was. Let's see. March check from Revocable Trust was signed by Donald Trump Jr. and Weisberg, Conan says, looked at the signed check for $35K to Conan in April. Hoffinger asked whose signature is it. Donald J. Trump, Conan said. Were any of those checks, in fact, for work during the months described in those check stubs? No, ma'am, Conan replied. There was first saw these checks during testimony from McConney and Trump org employees, TerraSoft. McConney testified that he would forward the invoices to TerraSoft, who handled accounts payable for checks to be cut to Conan. As prosecutor Hoffinger repeatedly goes through each monthly invoices and payments to McConan, she makes an effort to repeatedly use the language like false invoice and that falsely states it is for a retainer agreement that did not exist. Conan confirms each time the invoice falsely states the payment was for services rendered during that month. He also confirms with him each time that the description on each check stub falsely states it's for a retainer. And again, that's not sufficient evidence enough. Okay, you can't have a known liar try and give evidence. You're going to have to provide more evidence than just Conan says so. Asked who signed each of the checks from April beyond, Conan confirms each time Donald J. Trump. Conan confirms that the December 1st, 2017 invoice was the last he sent. Asked why it was the last, he said because I had been reimbursed $42K. Conan testified that the reimbursement included the $130K hush money fee, along with Redfinch fee, a line item that is for each text service, and his bonus. So he got way more amount. Conan said he did minimal work for Trump and Melania Trump in 2017. So wait, hold on. There's an argument here. They had a retainer agreement. Conan did minimal work, but they agreed on $35K, and that's what he was paid. So just because you did minimal work, that means you did some work. You did some work for Trump in 2017, because all this was 2017. After being paid out the installments equal to $420K, Conan says he was never paid any more money from Trump personally or the Trump organization. Did you do any work for the Trump organization after you're receiving this installment? Conan said he reviewed an agreement with Madame Tussaud for Melania Trump when the museum created a wax mold for her. Conan said he was not paid for the work for Melania. I didn't expect to be paid. It wasn't enough work to me to have me send an invoice, Conan testified. When did this happen? Was this in 2017? Or was this after 2017? I don't know. Let's see. Conan said he was working with Trump's attorney, Mark Wowstitz, on Summer Zevro's matter and delivered documents to Trump in the Oval Office. Zevros, a former Apprentice contestant, sued Trump in 2017 after he denied allegations that he had sexually assaulted her. Zevros agreed to drop her claims in 2021. Again, this happened in 2017. That could also be that's could also what the $35K could be. Legal services rendered. Here's the thing. Regardless of the price, even if he did like an hour's worth of work and it wasn't really worth $35K, if that's the agreed upon price and they paid him for it, how's that not a retainer agreement? Because it seems like he did do work. Like, that was the agreement. He did do work. Like, because this is the argument that Trump can have is like, I did have a retainer agreement. We didn't have it written down. We had an oral, and I decided I'd just pay him $35K each time, every month in case I needed his services. And he did apparently. And let's see, Conan has confirmed that he occasionally exchanged emails with Alan Grant, general counsel for the Trump organization. In that time in 2017 and above, he didn't bill Trump for work reiterated on stand, and it's expected to be paid, and it was very minimal work. Conan says he thinks he spent less than 10 hours on work for Trump in 2017. Hovinger asked whether the $42K he was paid had anything to do with the minimum work he did for Mr. Trump in 2017. No, ma'am, Conan said. Again, this is Conan says. Again, none of this actually really does anything to further prosecution's case. This is, again, this has to do with Conan and his credibility, and due to his credibility. But, even if he spent only 30 minutes each month doing some work for Trump, and but they agreed $35K. That's what they were going to pay for a retainer in case he needed to use his services. And that's that. And Trump can make this argument. Trump's lawyers are probably going to make this argument that, we had a retainer agreement. We didn't have it on paper. I trusted Conan. He was loyal to me and all that for the years he worked for me. I didn't know about the Stormy Daniels thing till after. I wasn't going to pay him for that. But I was going to at least put him on a retainer as a thank you, which I guess you could kind of make it as a reimbursement, but maybe not. But no, he's like, I put him on a retainer for a year. And we just agreed to $35K. I thought he was worth that much. I thought I might actually use him more, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, that's what it turned out to. It very well could be, because all we got is Conan says, no, it doesn't. There's no evidence that backs up Conan's story. Because Trump can come back and say, no, that was the retainer agreement. I gave it to him because I liked Conan. And I was wrong for liking him. In 2018, Conan said that after Stormy Daniels went public with her story, Trump wanted to take legal action against her for breaching the non-disclosure agreement. As a result of the Stormy Daniels matter and her electing to go public, Mr. Trump wanted an action to be filed, an aberration action to be filed against her for breach of non-disclosure agreement. So I was contacted by Eric Trump, as well as I spoke to Mr. Trump regarding how to go forward with his operation proceedings, Conan testified. Conan was asked whether he did more work for Trump in 2017 or 2018. It would be more in 2018, Conan confirms. He confirmed he was not paid for that work and did not bill for it. Well, could it be you weren't paid for the work because you didn't bill for it? Sounds like you're just dumb. Conan confirmed he got more clients after being paid, named Trump's personal counsel. So he did mostly consulting and advisory services for them, but no legal work. Conan said he made about $4 million in 2017 and 2018 from consultant work he did for other clients. And again, he could just be like, look, I'll just do you pro bono because I'm going to get, it could be like he said, I just did Trump pro bono because just solely being named his personal counsel, I got way more work and got way more than Trump could reasonably pay me. So I decided just to do any work for him pro bono after a year. Very well could be that. Conan said he continued to lie for Trump. Asked why he continued to lie, Conan said out of loyalty and in order to protect him. Conan said he held the title of Trump's personal counsel for approximately 15 months. Conan said he was subpoenaed to testify to the House and Senate Intelligence Committee during the Russian investigation in 2017. Conan says he felt a tremendous amount of pressure. It's the first time I've ever been subpoenaed by Congress to come in and testify, he says. Conan's attorney was being paid by Trump's organization. Asked if it was important to him at the time, Conan said, very much so. Conan says he felt he needed Trump's legal support at the time. I felt I needed it. It was extremely important to me. Conan, who's on stand right now, says he made false statements to Congress. They dealt with Trump Tower Moscow real estate project, specifically the number of times that I claimed to have spoken to Mr. Trump about the project, as well as the time period for those conversations. Conan says of his false statements, asked why he lied. Conan says, because I was staying on Trump's message that there was no Russia, and again, in coordination with the Joint Defense Team, that's what was preferred. Trump did not react. Okay. Again, he didn't attribute that Trump told him to lie, which obviously Trump's not on trial for, but he lied on his own volition, and he wasn't ordered to lie by Trump. He said he was staying on Trump's message. There was no Russia. Turns out there was no Russia. That turned out to be a giant hoax. Shocking. But yeah, so he made those false statements on his own vacation, on his own. And, can you trust what he's saying right now about the retainer agreement if he's willing to lie to Congress? Why wouldn't he be willing to lie to you? What the prosecution's going to have to deal with. Conan confirmed that in 2008, he continued to pressure people like Davidson to lie about the deals with McDougal and Daniels. I asked why he did so. Conan said, in order to protect Trump. Now, did Trump tell you to do it? Doesn't look like he did. Hoffinger is now asking Conan about the 2018 Wall Street Journal story about the $130K payment. Conan said at the time he did not tell the truth about his involvement in the payment and the fact Trump repaid him. Conan is testifying he spoke with Trump about the false statements he was giving the media. He says he told Trump that I had paid money on his behalf without his knowledge, because just because something isn't true doesn't mean it can't hurt you, and that I did it. Trump responded, "That's good, according to Conan." Now, you could think, oh, so Trump approved of his actions and blah blah blah, and he all that, or Trump be like, "Oh, so you told the truth? Good, I'm glad you did." Because it could be that what he said right there is actually the truth. And Trump's like, oh, good, you told the truth. Good. I'm glad. Hoffinger is now walking Conan through text messages. And again, is there anything that backs up Conan's statement here? Because again, Conan has a credibility issue, as he's has proven to lie to one under oath. He has a credibility issue. Hoffinger is now walking Conan through text messages he exchanged with Kenneth Davidson in January of 2018 around the Wall Street Journal story about the hush money payment he made to Daniels. Davidson, who was Daniels' former attorney, texted Conan on January 10th, 2018, saying WSJ called Stormy. She didn't answer. They say they are running story and have a deadline of tonight for her comment. Writ a strong denial for her like you did before, Conan responded via text. Hoffinger is returning to the Joint Defense Agreement to ask Conan whether Trump was also a part of it. Conan confirmed he was when Hoffinger asked who benefited from the agreement. The defense objected. The objection is sustained. Hoffinger re-asked the question to ask who benefited from the Joint Defense Agreement. I believe. So she asked the same question. Oh, okay. All right, whatever. I believe several. This is why this needs to be televised, so I can understand the context and not rely on shitty CNN writing. I believe several people would benefit, but certainly President Trump. Hoffinger asks, did you understand that you would benefit? Yes, ma'am, Conan says. Conan says he knew Daniels' statements denying the sexual encounter was false. He said he told Trump he was getting the denial. Conan explained his actions, one, to get credit for expressing that I was continuing to ensure that he was protected and stayed loyal, and the other so we could have this matter taken care of. Conan read text messages between him and Davidson, the attorney who represented Daniels McDougal. Conan said he wanted Daniels to go on Sean Hannity's show. Hold on. I had her tentatively scheduled for Hannity. Call me after your trial, the January 17, 2018 text read. I wanted to continue to promote the statement that there was no relationship and that Trump had no involvement, Conan told Prosecutor Hoffinger. Conan continued reading more texts about after Davidson said she could not do it that day. Conan texted Davidson later that night, Kenneth, the wise men all believe the story is dying. Don't think it's smart for her to do any interviews. Let her do her thing, but no interviews at all with anyone. Hoffinger is now showing Conan the January 30 Stormy Daniels statement, which was issued before she was on Jimmy Kimmel's show. There were still persistent reports that were looking into this, and I felt an official statement from her, another one, would be helpful to putting an end to it. Conan says of why he wanted the second statement. Conan said he knew the statement was false because he was the one who crafted it. Hoffinger asked whether he knew the statement was false, said that she did not receive a hush money. Conan said he knew it was false because I'm the one who paid it. Let's see. Prosecutors entered in evidence a February 2018 letter to the Federal Election Commission about the payment to Stormy Daniels. In response to an FEC complaint, Conan's lawyer wrote in letter in a private transaction in 2016. Before the U.S. presidential election, Conan used his personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130K to Miss Stephanie Clifford. Neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was a part of the transaction with Miss Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Conan for the payment directly or indirectly. Conan said on stand that the 28 letter to the FEC Commission, the Federal Election Commission, about the Stormy Daniels hush money payment is a true statement but it's misleading because neither Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was Mr. Trump himself. Conan testified that he meant it to be misleading in order to protect Trump, stay on message, demonstrate my continued loyalty. In 2018, Conan received a complaint letter from the FEC regarding the $130K payment to Daniels, he said. Conan is now being shown text messages he sent to New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman, who is sitting in court today in February of 2018. Big Boss just approved me to respond to complaint and statement. Please start writing and I will call you soon, Conan wrote. Conan confirmed Big Boss was a reference to Trump. Conan recalls, I was going to give it to her first so she had the scoop. The jury just saw Conan's response to the Federal Election Commission investigation into the payments to Stormy Daniels. The judge then reads that the jury instruction cautioning jurors that the statement was permitted to assist them in assessing Conan's credibility and to provide context. They were instructed not to consider it for the fact that there was an FEC investigation. The judge also told the jurors not to give it weight when considering Trump's guilt. At the end of the 2018 statement, Conan wrote, just because something isn't true doesn't mean that it can't cause you harm or damage. I will always protect Mr. Trump. Conan explained the line validated what he said about providing his own personal funds for the transaction. Again, Conan has a credibility issue. All he does is lie. If he lies to the government, why wouldn't he lie to you? Why wouldn't he lie to the government here and now and lie to you? Conan is now being shown a message then Trump attorney Jay Scaluwa sent him on February 19th of 2018 through the Signal app. The message came after Trump sent him his public statement. Client says, thanks for what you do. Jay wrote, according to the message. Conan testified the client means Trump, and the thanks was for denying in the statement. It's what you claim, buddy. What proof do you have? Attorneys were at a sidebar as prosecutor Hoffinger began asking questions about the Wall Street Journal from 2018 on AMI, the payments, and Conan's conversation with ex-National Enquirer publisher David Pecker. David was very concerned because it was going to affect AMI. It was going to affect him, Conan said. And so I had told him I would assist with this matter, and I ultimately told him after conversation with the president, don't worry, we have this thing under control. It's going to be taken care of. Merchant instructs the jury, as he previously told him, the evidence is permitted to let them assess Pecker's credibility. They can consider it for those reasons. Conan says he told Pecker, I told him that matters are going to be taken care of, and the person, of course, who was going to be able to do it was Jeff Sessions, who was Attorney General at the time. Conan testified that he told Pecker that because that was post my conversation with the president. Hoffinger confirmed with Conan that he had already had a conversation with Trump about it at that point. So he claims. He has a credibility issue. Conan confirmed that in 2018 he learned Daniels was going to appear on shows like 60 Minutes. At that time, he heard from Eric Trump and started to move on the temporary restraining order against Daniels to stop her from going public. Conan said he and Larry Rosen successfully obtained a temporary restraining order against Daniels. He tried to serve the order on Daniels via her then attorney Davidson because he didn't have an address for Daniels. We aren't able to do that, Davidson responded to me that he's no longer representing her. Conan said. Eventually, Conan says he figured out Michael Avenatti was going to represent her going forward. So the New York Appeals Court apparently denied Trump's gag order appeal. Shocking. Let's see. Daniels says that Conan says that Stormy Daniels' former attorney Avenatti filed a lawsuit against Trump, Conan, and Essentials Consultant LLC to lift a non-disclosure agreement. Conan says he with Trump eventually agreed not to enforce the non-disclosure agreement against Daniels. Hoffinger asked whether much of 2018, while acting as then president, Trump's personal attorney, Conan continued to lie about his role in the payoff of Daniels. Yes, ma'am, Conan said. So, Conan says he was raided by the FBI in 2018. Conan says he was staying at the Luz Regency Hotel at the time because the apartment had been flooding. At 7 a.m. in the morning, there was a knock on the door. I looked at the people. I saw tons of people out in the hallway. I saw the badge, so I opened the door. They identified themselves as the FBI and asked me to step into the hallway, he says. Conan explains the search warrant gave them the right to take away my 2 cell phones, any electronic devices, as well as recorders. Conan confirms the cell phones were seized at the same that had been referenced as this in trial, including the phone that contains the audio recording of Conan and Trump on it. Conan asked how he felt, to describe his feeling following the FBI raid. He said, how to describe your life being turned upside down, concerned, despondent, angry. Asked if he was frightened, he says, yes, ma'am. Conan says he spoke to Trump after the FBI raid. This was the last time they spoke, he testified. Conan says Trump called him back after he left a message to the president. I wanted, obviously, him to know what was taking place. He said, don't worry, I'm the president of the United States. There's nothing here. Everything's going to be okay. Stay tough. You're going to be okay, Conan said. Conan added, I was scared. I wanted some reassurance that Mr. Trump had my back, especially as this dealt with issues that related to him. Conan says he was reassured after his conversation with Trump following the FBI raid. I felt rest assured and remained in the camp. Conan said his Justice Department should go nowhere, and so I felt rest assured and remained in the camp, Conan continued. He said he heard that from other people that in Trump's circle that you're loved, don't worry, he's got your back. Most powerful guy in the country, if not the world, you're going to be okay. Hoffinger asked what he meant by in the camp. Conan said in the fold, in the Trump camp. Conan is now being shown tweets from Donald Trump from 2018 about him. Conan is reading 3 tweets, including one from April 21, where he slammed the New York Times and their journalist Maggie Haberman, saying they were trying to destroy his relationship with Conan. Conan said Trump was communicating to him, stay in the fold, stay loyal, I have you, you're fine, don't flip. Conan is describing how Trump was paying his legal fees still at this point in April 2018, which he felt confirmed he was under Trump's protection. He was also still part of the Joint Defense Agreement. So court takes a quick break. All right, court's back in session. Hoffinger is back on the podium and resuming questioning of Conan. Are you familiar with an attorney by the name of Robert Costello? Hoffinger asked. I was introduced to Robert Costello by another lawyer, Jeffrey Kitron. He told me he was a criminal defense attorney. He was incredibly close to Rudy Giuliani. Conan said. Conan let an audible sigh before question began again. Okay. Conan said he met with the criminal defense attorney, Costello, in a conference room in the Lowe's Regents Hotel where he was staying in the spring of 2018. Conan said he said his emotional state at that point was distraught, nervous, and concerning. Recalls they said there were certain things you need to know. First is how you have to try and remember things that might be in those boxes, referring to what was taken in the FBI raid. Conan says that at that meeting, Costello told him this would be a great way to have a back channel communication with the president in order to ensure that you're still good and still secure. Conan says he wasn't sure about Costello at the time. He says there was something really sketchy and wrong about him, knowing that was because of Costello's close relationship with Rudy Giuliani. Conan says that he did not disclose everything that happened at that meeting because he believed anything he said would be spoken and told by Rudy Giuliani. Hoffinger introduced emails between Costello and Conan into evidence. I'm sure you saw the news that Rudy is joining Trump's legal team. I told you my relationship with Rudy could be very useful for you, Costello wrote in April 19th of 2018. Conan said he took this as a message from Costello, again to reinforce the whole concept of back channel. Back channel was Bob Costello to Rudy to the president, to President Trump, Conan explained. Let's see. In April 21st, Costello wrote to Michael Conan, I just spoke to Rudy Giuliani, told him I was on your team. Rudy was thrilled and said this could not be a better situation for the president or you. He asked if it was okay to call. He asked me if it was okay to call the president and Jay Skello, and I said fine. It continued. He said, I can't tell you how pleased I am that I can work with someone I know and trust. He asked me to tell you that he knows how tough it is for you and your family. He will make sure to tell the president. He said, thank you for opening this back channel of communication. He asked me to keep in touch and told him I would. I told him I would after speaking to you further. Jury also shown a second email from Costello to Conan, where he said, I spoke with Rudy, very, very positive. You are loved. If you want to call me, I will give you the details. I told him everything you asked me, and he said that they knew that. There was never a doubt they are in your corner. Sleep well tonight. You have friends in high places, Costello said in the email. Friends in high places was President Trump, Conan testified. Let's see. Prosecutors are going through more emails between Conan and Robert Costello. On June 7th, 2018, Costello emailed Conan to prove that Rudy Giuliani called me, and I did not call him. I photographed the pages from my iPhone. He then sent a series of phone calls. Conan testified that in this email, Costello was expressing to me his obvious relationship with Rudy Giuliani, who was proximate to President Trump. Seems very odd. I'm going to prove to you that I am in a relationship with Rudy Giuliani and show you a bunch of photographs from my iPhone. That's weird, right? It doesn't sound a little hinky to you at all. But all right. On June 13th, Robert Costello emailed Conan, since you jumped off the phone rather abruptly, I did not get a chance to tell you that my friend has communicated to me that he is meeting with his client this evening, and he added that if there were anything you wanted to convey, you should tell me and my friend will bring it up for a discussion this evening. The friend referred to in the email was Rudy Giuliani, and his client was Trump, Conan says. Donald J. Trump, President Trump, Conan said, correcting himself. Hovinger asked Conan why Costello didn't just say Giuliani and Trump directly in the email, sort of to be covert. It's all back channel, he said. I spyish. Like, this doesn't say anything. Like, this doesn't like give you any like thinking of. This sounds kind of hinky. I don't really trust this. Conan says one of Robert Costello's emails used cryptic messaging referring Costello's friend and his friend's client. Conan testified that this seemed to encourage Conan to get a message to Trump through Rudy Giuliani. By his recollection, the email referenced the potential of pre-pardons, I believe. Please remember, if you want or need to communicate something, please let me know, Costello email reads. Conan says that meant to communicate to Giuliani and ultimately President Trump. Conan said Costello had expressed clearly to Mr. Giuliani that he was on the team. The concern here was I was going to go to another lawyer and retain another lawyer to represent me in this matter, Conan testified. On June 14th, Costello sent Conan an email with a YouTube link calling Giuliani possibility of Conan cooperating Mueller probe. Conan emailed him back, why send this to me? Costello responded with a link to the email. It seems clear to me that you are under the impression that Trump and Giuliani are trying to discredit you and throw you under the bus, to use your phrase. I think you are wrong because you are believing the narrative promoted by the left-wing media. They want you to believe that they're writing. Many of them are already writing that you are cooperating. The email began. Conan said that the email was part of the pressure campaign that everyone is lying to you, that you are still regarded. The president still reports you, Conan added. It meant don't flip, don't speak, don't cooperate. If you really believe you're not being supported properly by your former boss, then you should make your position known. If you really want certain things to happen, you should make that known, Costello wrote in the email. Conan says he never told Robert Costello about Trump's involvement in the American media payment to former Playboy model McDougal or Conan's payment to Stormy Daniels. I didn't trust him, meaning Bob Costello, and I was still remaining loyal to Mr. Trump, Conan said. I believe based upon all our conversations that he would immediately run back to Mr. Giuliani and that communications would be divulged to Trump. But why would that matter? Like, why would that matter if, you went through Costello and that went to Giuliani and that went back to Trump. Trump apparently by you knows all this. So why does that matter? That if you discussed it with Bob, if you think that Trump was behind Costello being around, like, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? At some point, Conan says he had a conversation with his family about this unique situation, and my family, my wife, my daughter, my son, all said to me, why are you holding on to this loyalty? What are you doing? We're supposed to be your first loyalty. Conan says his family told him it's about time he listened to them. Conan said he made his move to plead guilty after talking to his family and deciding he would no longer lie for Trump. I made a decision based again on a conversation I had with my family. I would not lie for President Trump anymore, he says. Let's see. Asked why he paid the money to Daniels, Conan says it was to ensure that the story would not come out, would not affect Trump's chances of becoming president of the United States. Hovinger asked whether Conan would have paid the money if not for the election. No, ma'am, Conan says. Hovinger follows up and asks Conan to confirm at whose direction and whose behalf he paid Daniels. Conan says, on behalf of Mr. Trump. What proof do you have of this? Conan testified he worked on a deal at the direction of Donald J. Trump and for the benefit of Donald J. Trump. Again, don't have any proof of that, just your word, and your word is not credible, Conan. Conan is now being asked about the payments AMI made to McDougal, which was also part of his 2018 guilty plea. Hoffinger asked Conan why he worked with AMI to pay off McDougal in order to ensure the possibility of Mr. Trump succeeding in the election. This would not be a hindrance, Conan said. Again, he has a credibility issue. Judge reads an instruction to the jury cautioning that Michael Conan's guilty plea was offered to them to assess Conan's credibility, but not as evidence of Trump's guilt in this case. Mr. Conan's plea is not evidence of the defendant's guilt, and you may not consider it to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not in the charged crimes, Merchant told jurors. Let's see. Conan said he also pled guilty to tax charges and making false statements to financial institutes that were unrelated to Donald Trump. Asked what that day was like, worst day of my life, Conan said. Again, continues to have a credibility issue. Conan is now reading Trump's tweets about August 22nd, 2018, the day after he pled guilty. If anyone's looking for a good lawyer, I would strongly suggest you don't retain the services of Conan, says one of the tweets. Conan says the tweets cause a lot of angst and anxiety and notes that the message were communicated clearly displeasure that I no longer, I guess, important to the fold. Well, I mean, if let's say you're lying everything, then yeah, this would be an appropriate tweet. Conan confirmed that in November 29th of 2018, he also pled guilty to one count of making false statements to Congress on Trump's behalf in 2017. Again, he's already made a statement that Trump did not direct him to do this. He decided on his own to make those false statements. Conan says before he reported prison in May 6th of 2019, he testified before Congress in February of 2019. Conan says he testified to the House and Senate Intelligence Committee and House Oversight Committee. Conan said he had to pay restitution for taxes he evaded for his guilty plea. He said he paid the amount he owed before his own sentencing. He says he paid $1,394,000 in restitution for those taxes. Conan also paid two $50K fines, he said. The tax evasion charges were unrelated to the scheme tied to Trump. Conan is recalling when he spoke about the payments and apologized to Congress. He recounts that he testified about the payments to the two women when he spoke before the House Committee and Senate Intelligence Committee and House Oversight Committee. I testified about the reimbursement for the $130K with the payments made to me on a monthly basis. I apologize to Congress. I apologize to the country. I apologize to my family, Cohen said, nodding his head slightly. He said he apologized to the American people for lying to him and for acting in a way that suppressed information that the citizenry had the right to know in order to make a determination on the individual who was seeking the highest office in the land. Okay. Conan testified he met with the special counsel Robert Mueller's office several times before reporting to prison. Conan first met with the special counsel office in 2018 before pleading guilty. He says he was not truthful because he was still holding onto loyalty for President Trump. After pleading guilty, he says he gave truthful testimonies in subsequent meetings with Mueller's team. Again, Conan has a credibility issue. What he's claiming he made those truthful statements. We have no way of, so far, we have yet to actually been able to verify that he is telling the truth in that matter. Conan said he went to prison and released partway through his sentence because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Conan is explaining, in addition to speaking with the special counsel office, he also met with New York Attorney General's office and District Attorney office. He confirmed he spoke to District Attorney office for the first time while he was still incarcerated. Conan confirmed he testified before the grand jury and received immunity. He says he asked the federal judge for a reduction in his sentence and asked the DA's office to provide him a letter about his cooperation. He also confirmed he understands that every witness who testifies before the grand jury is automatically offered immunity. District Attorney's office said it would consider providing a letter about his cooperation if the United States District Court of the Southern District of New York prosecutors agreed. They didn't, Hoffinger said. Conan agreed. As a result, the district attorney office did not provide a letter to Conan, he confirms. Conan said earlier that he asked the federal... Conan says that seeking the letter about his cooperation did not impact his telling the truth to the district attorney's office or his testimony to the grand jury. Did it impact your telling the truth here in court? No, ma'am, Conan said. That you claim? You're claiming all this? What proof do you have? Why should we believe you, Conan? You have a history of lying. Not at the behest of Trump, because of your own decisions. Hoffinger is returning to Conan's cell phones, asking if he returned them back on when they were returned to him. Conan says he may have, saying he wanted to see if they were still working. Hoffinger is quizzing Conan on the cell phones that were seized in 2018. Conan says he got a new phone after the raid, so he turned them on at that point just to see if they were still working. Conan says he used one of his older cell phones that had been seized by the FBI in order to record a conversation with the Bureau of Prisons. Seems to do that a lot. Conan says he did not alter his cell phone audio recording with Trump. Not at any time did you alter or modify the audio recording of your conversation with Mr. Trump and contained in PX246, Hoffinger asked. No, ma'am. Conan said. Again, let me ask you this. Why should we believe Conan? Conan said he voluntarily provided the two cell phones to the district attorney's office in 2023. He provided them on 2 different days because he only knew where one of them was and had to find the other, he says. Oh, not important. In relation to the penalties tied to his federal guilty plea, Conan says he paid the taxes, paid the fines, paid everything, and served time in prison, Conan added. He also noted he still remains currently on supervised release. Hoffinger is asking Conan about statements he made criticizing the tax and false statements charges he pled guilty to in 2018. Conan said he's not disputing the fact but he doesn't think he should have been charged with the crimes. I have constantly maintained I do not dispute the fact there was an error in taxable amount and the tax that was due. What I did dispute, and I continue to dispute, that for a first-time offender that was considered consistently paying taxes on its due date, never been audited, this would immediately go to a criminal charge. He adds that he was given 48 hours to plead guilty, or an indictment that included his wife would be filed. Conan is being asked to explain why his testimony during the Trump civil fraud trial in New York, in which he said he lied when he pled guilty. What I was saying is I was going to take responsibility because of the underlying fact I never disputed. But it goes back to an issue that I was given 48 hours to accept their plea offer, or they were going to file an 80-page indictment that included my wife, and I was going to protect my wife. Hoffinger clarifies that when Conan said he lied to the federal judge, he was not saying he falsely pled guilty to campaign finance crimes tied to Trump. Again, more proof that Conan just lies. That's his natural instinct. All he does is lie. What proof do you really have? Like, why? What credibility does this guy have? Honestly, Conan is testifying that he had to sell his property, except for his primary residence and one secondary apartment. He also says he was forced to sell his taxi medallions because a felon cannot own them in New York or Chicago. Conan says he works now predominantly in media and entertainment. Conan is explaining his podcast, Mea Culpa. He says he frequently discusses Trump on the podcast which he describes as about news of the day. In February 2021, Conan invited Daniels on his podcast, Mea Culpa. Conan testified. Conan says he apologized to her on the podcast. It was the first time they had spoken, he says. Conan wrote 2 books. His first is Disloyal, which is a memoir. He says, I wrote that while I was in prison. When you're in prison, time management is very important. It helps time go by quicker. Second book, Revenge, he says, is a forensic dissection of corrupt prosecution or the weaponization of the Justice Department against a critic of the president. Okay. Let's see. Jury shows. Prosecutor shows the jury's Trump's horse face post on True Social from March 15th, 2023, where Trump attacked Conan. In the post, Trump referenced a convicted liar and felon. Conan said this was the time of his testimony before the grand jury in the case. Hoffinger asked if there came a time where Conan became aware of Trump's posting negative comments about him on True Social. Conan said, "I was," in a whisper, then cleared his throat and repeated, "I was." "Have there been any others that have been directed to you?" Hoffinger asked. "Yes," Conan says. Let's see. Conan is confirming that Trump brought a lawsuit against Conan for $500 million that the former president, eventually dropped. Conan is now being asked if he regrets his past association with Trump. "I regret doing things for him I should not have, lying, bullying people in order to effectuate a goal. I don't regret working for the Trump organization," Cohen says. "As I expressed before, some very interesting, great times, but to keep the loyalty and to the things he asked me to do, I violated my moral compass and suffered the penalty, as has my family," Conan adds. Again, why do you believe him? Why should you believe him? There is a break. And defense will begin cross-examination after lunch. Again, why do you need to believe him? So, like, Conan's being, this is some analysis. Yeah, but it doesn't take the fact away from why should anyone believe him. Conan has a credibility issue, and they have not really. All he's done is admitted that he's lied. And if he's going to lie to the Congress, to a judge that he just lied to recently, he's going to continue to lie. Why should you believe him now? What makes you think he's going to be believable now? I don't know. Oh, shit. So apparently Conan will be the last witness to testify for the prosecution in a former president. Okay, court transcripts. Sanglas told judge that his team has planned to call another witness but decided against it, making Conan the last witness to be called by the prosecution in the case. Defense attorney Blanche also said to the judge he's expected their cross-examination of Conan will continue until the end of the day Thursday, according to the transcript. Blanche also said it is not clear if Trump will testify, according to the transcript. So here's what's going to happen. All right. So Friday-ish, they're probably going to have a redirect, maybe a recross, and all that. And hopefully, if it doesn't take too long, all that stuff will end Friday. The prosecution will rest. Here's what's going to happen. The defense is going to call for, what is it? Not a mistrial. A direct to verdict or something like that. It's not a mistrial, but it's basically a direct to verdict or some shit like that. And they're they're going to ask to drop the charges or something because they're going to say that the court, the prosecution has not proven their case, and since they have not proven their case, there's no need for the defense to continue and put on a case of their own. And everything like that. So they're basically gonna ask the judge to make a direct verdict based on the evidence that the prosecution required to prove beyond a shadow of the doubt that this actually happened, and they haven't actually at all. Nothing really shows that like all we got is Conan's claim. That's all we got is Conan's claim that Trump is culpable in this. That's all we got. But Conan has credibility issues. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to ask for that. The judge is going to deny it, and we're going to go on next week with the defense's case. Trump's back in session. All right. So Todd Blanche is beginning the cross-examination. Let's go. "Mr. Conan, my name is Todd Blanche. You and I have never spoken or met before, have we?" he asks. I'm assuming that he says no. "You went in TikTok and you went in TikTok and called me a crying little shit just before the trial began," Blanche asked. Conan nodded and said, "Sounds like something I would say." Judge has sustained multiple objections following questions from the defense, including one asked if he made comments about himself and Trump's attorney Nichols. "The questions are stricken," the judge said. Blanche asked Conan if he's been following the trial. To some extent, yes. Ooh, that's not a good thing. That's actually not a good thing. Witnesses aren't supposed to be paying attention to the trial. I've watched CNN and MSNBC, but not religiously, in order to follow the full extent of the trial. I'm guessing Blanche is going to try and infer that Conan has tailored his testimony to work with what's going on and what has been said during trial. I'm willing to bet. Let's see. Blanche is asking Conan about comments he's made on social media when Pecker was testifying earlier in the trial. Do you recall saying on TikTok on April 23rd that when Pecker was still on the stand, that from everything you heard from people today, Pecker is corroborating what you have been saying for 6 years? I do, yes. Yes, somebody called me and told me Pecker had corroborated what I had been saying for a long time, Conan added. Conan is being asked about the importance of the trial. Is this trial important to you, Mr. Conan? Blanche asks. Personally, yes, Conan says. Blanche asked Conan about the comments he's made on social media. You also talked on social media during this trial about President Trump, have you not? Blanche asked. Sounds correct, yes. Blanche asked whether he called Trump a dictator douchebag on TikTok. Conan responds, sounds like something I would say. On the same TikTok on 23rd, you referred to Trump when he left the courtroom. You said that he goes right into that little cage, which is where he belongs, in a fucking cage like an animal. I recall saying that, Conan says. Is it fair to say prosecution have repeatedly asked you to stop publicly commenting on the case? Blanche asked. Conan first says they might have, but Blanche asked the question again, pushing Conan to give a definitive response. Yes. Blanche is now asking Conan about being represented by Lanny Davis. Blanche said there was a leak to the Associated Press that both he and Davis denied being the source of the leak to the district attorney's office. Do you remember that at the time, DA was frustrated when they would say something to you or your lawyer about the investigation, you would talk about it on TV? Blanche asked. I don't recall that, no, Conan said. Now again, Blanche is showing his credibility issues. Like he's he gets told stuff and starts leaking it to the DA, although starts leaking it to the media. Can't be trusted. That's what he's getting at there. Do you remember in February of 21, you were going on TV talking about the investigation? Blanche says. I go on TV often, so I'm not sure what the topic was, Conan says. Blanche follows up and says, and Conan says, it would not surprise me that he discussed the investigation. Trump asked if the district attorney was frustrated because Conan was talking to the press in February of 21. Yes, sir, Conan says. It took Blanche several times to get this question past objections. Blanche asked if he continued to talk to the press. Yes, indeed, I talked to the press, including about this case, Blanche asked. It sounds correct, Conan says. When asking Conan on whether he continued to talk to the media, despite the district attorneys being frustrated with him doing so, Blanche pressed the witness on how he was answering the questions. Blanche asked, I don't want it to sound correct. Is it correct? Yes, it would be correct, Conan said. Blanche asked if Conan told Don Lemon that the district attorney office asked him for his phone. Sounds correct, Conan asked. Do you remember the DA being frustrated and upset about what you had done? Blanche asked. No, sir, Conan said. Blanche is now asking about conversations Conan testified Monday he had with Trump in 2016. You testified yesterday about a very specific recollection you had about telephone conversations you had with President Trump in 2016, but you have no recollection that last month, just over a year ago, that you promised the district attorney you would stop going on TV. Blanche asked. What I was saying to you, sir, I don't recall even having these conversations with Lanny Davis about not going on TV. Conan says. I recall the conversations with President Trump at the time. Conan says yes. Again, he's kind of showing some credibility issues with Conan. He's claiming, I don't recall having these conversations with Lanny Davis, but I recall having conversations, what was it, in 2016, which is 8 years ago? So he remembers conversation from 8 years ago, but he doesn't remember a conversation a year ago. Seems like some credibility issues. Sounds like he's lying. Blanche is asking Conan, are you the one who leaked to CNN that you had given your phone to the DA earlier in January of 2023? I don't recall, Conan responds. Conan is being questioned about being asked by the district attorney's office to refrain from speaking about the case. After the indictment, you were warned repeatedly by the district attorney's office to not talk about the case. Blanche asks. Yes, Conan says. Blanche asks what they said. Please don't talk about the case, Conan responds. Blanche asks Conan when he met with the DA's office on several occasions. Conan says they tell him directly, probably better off if you don't speak about it. Conan put the number of times they told him not to talk to the press about the case as fewer than 5 times. And you have not followed the request or whatever word you want me to use, Blanche asked. Conan says, that's correct. I'm responding, and Blanche cuts him off. Remember, this is cross-exam, so these are yes or no questions generally. Conan says and now what's going to happen is when the recross happens, they're going to hammer that Conan only did all this in response to Trump. That's what they're going to do. Conan says he does each of his 2 podcasts twice per week, making it 4 per week. Conan says he recorded the podcast all year long. He confirms Trump comes up in every podcast episode. I would say he's mentioned every one, yes. Blanche went on to ask Conan about how active he is on social media platform. You're also active on Twitter. On X, Blanche asked. That's correct, Conan asked. Blanche asked about if he's also on TikTok. Correct, Conan says. Conan says he goes on TikTok an hour a night. Blanche asks what the goal is. Conan says build an audience, create a community to really vent because I'm having a difficult time sleeping, so I found an outlet. Blanche asks if he also makes money on that platform. It does make money, but it's not significant, Conan says. Yeah, because no one cares about you. Blanche is asking Conan more questions about his TikTok account. Out of 7 nights a week, how many nights do you think you talk about President Trump, he asks. I only do it 6 days a week. I would say 6 days a week, Conan says. Now, what Blanche is kind of showing here is that Conan has a vendetta against Trump, and he wants revenge on Trump. That's what he's being shown here. He can't get enough of Trump. He's always going to be going after Trump, and it's showing a very poor motive for him. And that cope with along with he has lied before, he has credibility issues, he's lying to you now. Blanche asks Conan if he's making the nightly TikToks to earn money. Conan answers, money is made from it, yes. Blanche responds, that's not my question. One of the reasons you're doing it is to make money, yes or no? Yes, Conan says. Asked if you want Trump to be convicted in the case, Conan responded, sure. Defense attorney, Blanche posed a series of questions to Conan regarding his podcast and personal feelings about the case. Have you regularly commented on your podcast that you want Trump to be convicted in this case? Yes, probably, Conan says. Do you have any doubts? Blanche responds, no. Conan says, asked why he answered in that way. Conan says, because I don't specifically know if I use those words, but yes, I would like to see that. Do you want to see Trump convicted in this case? Sure, Conan says. Blanche follows up, asking him to answer the question, yes or no. Conan responds, sure. Jury is shown a photo of the t-shirt that Cohen's selling on Mea Culpa website, depicting a handcuffed Trump in an orange jumpsuit. Blanche also shows an enlarged photo of coffee mugs that is sold on the site, which reads, send them to the big house, not the White House. Again, what they're doing here is just showing his motive. He doesn't have a great motive, and he doesn't have a great record of being honest. Let's see. Blanche asked Conan to confirm he wore the t-shirt showing Trump behind bars on his TikTok last week. I did. You're encouraging people to buy it, Blanche asked. Yes, it was part of the merch store, Conan says. Blanche is now asking Conan when he changed his views about Trump. I guess it would be August 2018. Blanche asked the question again, rephrasing it slightly, and Conan responded it was around the time he did an interview with George Stephanopoulos. Let's see. Blanche is now walking Conan through when he first met Trump and how his apartment was in a Trump building. You still live in a building with Trump's name on it, correct? I do, Conan. Conan confirmed he and his family owned several properties in the So you hate Trump so much, but you're still willing to benefit from Trump by living in his building and owning several properties in his building? That's fucking hilarious. Blanche recalls Conan got involved with the board of the building to try and remove the Trump name. Conan confirms that Trump was happy with his work on that matter. Blanche then walks Conan through how eventually Trump eventually offered him a job after Conan interceded in a few matters like the intervention with the building board. Blanche is now asking if he's represented more members of Trump's family. Your job wasn't just representing Trump, you also represented his family times, Blanche asks. I have, yes, Conan says. Which members of the family, Blanche says. Asks. Melania, Don Jr., I don't believe I represented Eric. I don't recall if I've ever represented Ivanka, Conan replies. Conan says he made $375K a year plus an annual bonus of $150K, except for 2016. Let's see. Blanche asked if it was fair to say Conan admired Trump. Yes, sir, he said. You admire his financial success, his high profit, his tenacity. Blanche asked. Very much so, yes, Conan said. Conan said he read Trump's book, Art of the Deal, twice. Viewed it as an excellent book. Yes, Conan said. Conan is asked how he felt about Trump and if he was obsessed with him. I wouldn't say obsessed. I admire him tremendously. He then went on. I can't recall using that word. Wouldn't say it would be wrong. Seems like you're obsessed. Blanche read aloud that Conan has made about Trump, including that all the former president wanted to do was make the country great again. At that time, you weren't lying, right? Blanche asked. At the time, I was knee-deep in the cult of the Trump. Yes, Conan asked, adding, I was not lying. It's how I felt. You were telling the truth, correct? Blanche asked. That's how I felt. Conan says, I was expressing his feelings, so yes, it would be the truth. Blanche is going through several positive statements Conan made about Trump in 2015. According to the statements, Conan called Trump a good man and a man who cares deeply about his family. I said that, Conan confirms. Conan listed a few adjectives Conan used to describe Trump previously: kind, humble, and honest. Yes, sir. Conan confirms. Again, that's how I felt. So it's would be the truth. Conan's testimony is moving on to a Vanity Fair profile in September of 2017. Blanche asked Conan whether Conan said in the profile, you were the guys who protected the president and the family. I believe so, yes, Conan says. Blanche follows up asking if he said he'd take a bullet for the president. I did say that, yes. In the article, Conan said there'd be no money in the world to write about. Said there was no money in the world to write about Trump family. I had no intention of writing a book, Conan says, adding at the time. Blanche asked if he described Trump's family as a surrogate family. Correct, Conan says. I did say that I missed Trump, Conan confirmed when President Trump, Trump confirmed, Conan confirmed when asked about his comments in 2017. Conan said he was advised he could not speak to Trump, but he could do so with the family. Conan confirmed telling a reporter in the time after the Russia probe began in 2017 that I couldn't see the kids, I just didn't. Blanche is asking a series of questions about Conan's interaction with Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team in August of 2018. Conan says when he met them on August 7th of 2018, he was there still to protect Trump. He added his answers were deceptive. Blanche asked if Conan then decided to cooperate with the special investigators. I was asked to cooperate. Yes, Conan says. Blanche is now walking Conan through the interview with Special Counsel Mueller, where Conan denies going to Prague, one of the false allegations in the so-called Steele dossier. Conan also told the office he was never paid he never paid the Russian to hack anything. You wanted your voice to be part of the report that was ultimately issued, Blanche asked. I wanted my voice to be reflected that the Steele dossier towards me as an example was incorrect. They asked you about the Trump Moscow project, and you lied to them, Blanche asked. Yes, the information I gave was not accurate. In an earlier exchange, Conan asked if his life had been turned upside down since the release of the Steele dossier. Conan tells him yes. It's not accurate information, a lie. Blanche asking in a line of questioning about the statements to Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Sure, Conan said. Is it a lie? Blanche asked. It was inaccurate. Yes, Conan said. Was it a lie? Blanche asked. I don't know if I would characterize it as a lie. It was inaccurate, Conan said. Blanche asked how Conan is distinguishing the difference. Conan said, it wasn't truthful. You want to call it a lie? I'll call it a lie. Now, again, what Blanche is doing here is showing Conan is still deceptive. It's obviously a lie. Not accurate information is a lie. Okay, if you're not giving accurate information, odds are you're just lying. Well, let me rephrase that. If you're intentionally giving not accurate information, that is a lie. If you're not intentionally doing it, it's not a lie. You're just giving inaccuracy. That's the difference. And what Blanche is doing here is showing that Conan still is being deceptive. Blanche is now asking Conan what he told the special counsel about the Access Hollywood tape. You told him on August 7th, 2018, that you didn't recall speaking with Trump about the tape, correct? Blanche asks. I don't recall that. Conan replies. Blanche continues, but you testified yesterday you had specific recollection about speaking to Mr. Trump about the Access Hollywood tape. Correct, Conan says. Again, now he's showing, hey, this guy just doesn't know how to stop fucking lying. He lied to, was he lying to, here's the question. Now you got to ask because you can't trust what he's saying. The question is, was he lying to the special counsel in 2018 or is he lying to you now? You can't really figure it out. Blanche asked Conan about the 2 guilty pleas and his congressional testimony. Blanche asks, you had changed your views about Trump. Correct, Conan says. Once you testified in February of 2018, you changed all that, and now you said Trump was a con man and you were ashamed. I said that, yes, Conan said. Blanche asked about Conan, about being able to delay surrendering to prison from March until May of 2019. I had just had surgery. Yes, Conan said. Blanche asked whether it was because of his testimony. No, Conan said, adding that he did testify, but that's not why he got a 60-day delay. You were very much looking for a way to get your sentence reduced, Blanche asked. Yes, sir, Conan said. Conan said he talked to Anthony Scaramucci, the former White House Director of Communications, about getting his sentence reduced when Scaramucci went to visit him in prison. Sounds correct, Conan says. Quick break. Back on the bench ahead of a final stretch. All right. Okay, so there's no trial tomorrow. So there's no trial on Wednesday. There's none on Friday. Okay, so there's a chance we'll get everything done on the 16th, on Thursday, and that will be when the prosecution rests. If anything, it might go into the 20th, depending on how long cross and redirect take. Who knows? Blanche resumes his cross-examination, circling back with Conan to confirm that all right, so there's no trial tomorrow. So Wednesday. So it's on Thursday. Yeah, so it might end up being that it takes longer. I have no idea. So there's gonna the recross. It depends on how short the recross and redirect is. So we'll find out Thursday if the prosecution rests or not. Let's see. Blanche resumes his cross-examination, circling back with Conan to confirm that the first time he met with Manhattan's District Attorney's Office was about 3 months into his sentence at Oatsville in late August of 2019. Blanche asked Conan whether he asked the prosecutor what was the benefit for him to meet with them, and he told him he'd been screwed by the system. I don't know if that was the language that I used, but sounds correct. Conan says. Conan has shown notes of the DA's office interview with him from that first meeting. Conan confirmed he at some point learned a Rule 35 motion to ask a federal judge to reduce a prison sentence must be made within 1 year of the sentence. Blanche asked Conan if he remembered his attorney asked if the district attorney's office would support his Rule 35 motion if he cooperated. I believe so, yes. Blanche asked if the basis for that motion was because of his cooperation, as well as the earlier cooperation. Yes, Conan says. While on home confinement, Conan agreed he started his redemption tour. Conan shrugged and said fair when asked about it. In September 2020, his first book, Disloyal, was published, Conan confirmed. His podcast, Mea Culpa, also began in September 2020. Sounds correct, Conan says. Blanche is going through some of the insults Conan has said against Trump. Blanche asks if Conan, speaking on his podcast, called Trump a boorish cartoon. Boorish cartoon misogynist. Sounds like something I would say, Conan says. Blanche then asks if Conan called Trump a Cheeto-dusted cartoon villain. That also sounds like something I would say, Conan says. Let's see. Conan, the court is hearing more about Michael Conan's podcast. Blanche asks him about his show on October 23rd of 2020. And if he said, I truly fucking hope Trump ends up in prison. Sounds more like my language on Mea Culpa, Conan says, referring to the name of his podcast. Blanche asked if Conan was still serving his prison sentence while at his apartment in 2020 condo. Conan says, correcting him, everyone's wearing headphones. I hear that, yes, Conan says after the audio finished. Blanche also asked if he said on the episode Trump needed to wear handcuffs and to do the perp walk. People will not be satisfied until he's sitting inside a cell. I don't recall saying that, but I don't put it past me, Conan said. Again, this is just showing that Conan has an axe to grind against Trump, would help make his credibility. He already has a shoddy credibility, making it look like even worse. Is it fair to say you're motivated by fame? Blanche is asking Conan. No, I don't think it's fair to say that. Is it fair you're motivated to say you're motivated by publicity? Blanche follows up. I don't think it's fair to say that. I'm motivated by many things. Blanche quoted an excerpt from Conan's book, Disloyal. I want it all. Power, the good life, public acclamations, fame, big deals, fast cars, private planes, the excess, glamour, and the zest of life. Those are my words, yes, Conan confirmed. Let's see. Blanche confirms that Conan did not meet with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office between August 30th of 2019 and January 11th of 2020. Blanche asked Conan whether he thanked the District Attorney for continuing its investigation in January 2021. Sounds correct, Conan says. Blanche asks Conan about meeting with Mark Pomerantz, the Special Assistant District Attorney brought in under Cy Vance. Hoffinger objects to the question. Let's see, for context, at the time, DA's investigation was focused on the accuracy of Trump's financial statements used to obtain loans and insurance. The investigation was essentially dropped. The New York attorney filed civil charges. Okay. Blanche asked Conan if, during the time period between his meetings with the Manhattan DA office in 2019 and 2021, he wanted the office to publicly acknowledge he was cooperating. I would say so, yes, Conan confirmed. Why? Conan has explained the terms of his home confinement, where he could spend 3 hours a day outside anywhere in the borough of Manhattan. Conan said he would go anywhere in Manhattan. He initially wore an ankle bracelet, but that turned into him carrying a cell phone. The Federal Bureau of Prisons would track him via the phone and randomly call to check in on his whereabouts. Conan is still unsupervised released. He said Conan has tried and failed many times to get it terminated early. I was looking for a reduction in home confinement portion, Conan says, adding that in addition to cooperation, he also wanted his work in Oatsville to be credited. Conan says he never met D.A. Bragg in person. In November 2021, Conan moved from home confinement to supervised release. He explained in court that it was less stringent, checking in once a month and providing notice when leaving the state or the country. Conan says he made roughly $3.4 million in sales for his 2 books over the past 4 years. The second book, Revenge: How Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics, earned him about $400,000. His first book, Disloyal: The True Story of the Former Personal Attorney to Donald J. Trump. So apparently the Revenge didn't earn that much. The Disloyal one did. Blanche notes that in one of the books, Conan referred to himself as a fixer. In the book, Blanche says that Conan writes, "You don't understand why nobody will hold Trump responsible." Sounds correct, Conan says. Blanche continues and asks, "Are you fixing things that you broke?" No, Conan says. It's kind of a dumb question, but all right. Court wrapped up for the day. Judge asked the lawyers to approach. Blanche says he still believes he will finish his cross-examination. He will finish cross-examination by end of the day of Thursday. If I finish, it's the end of the day I anticipate, Your Honor, attorney for Donald Trump says. Judge says, no rush, take your time, do what you need to do. Blanche also referenced their expert witness, asking the judge if they could discuss what is admissible in light of the judge's pre-trial rulings. They'll take that up after court on Thursday. So there you go. That's the end of it. So I don't think it's going to end. What's going to end up happening is going to be the prosecution is not going to rest on Thursday. We're going to get a recross that will hopefully end Thursday, and then when that is all over, they'll get when cross-examination's on Thursday, they'll do a recross. That'll probably lead into Monday. I would say Monday, end of day Monday will be when the prosecution rests, or at the latest Tuesday. And then you'll get we request a directive verdict. I think it's directive verdict. I could be wrong, but that's going to be the request. And then they're going to say that the state has not proven their case beyond at all. And they haven't really. Like, this could be one of the cases where it's not going to happen, but it very well should happen that the directive verdict gets granted. It never happens. Odds are it's not going to happen, because what happens is they look at the case in the most favorable light to the prosecution. So there's even a hint that the prosecution has proven their case, like, at all. Then it's good to go. But that's not the case, unfortunately. That's not what's happening here. None of that has happened here, in my opinion. That they haven't proven the case at all. The most they've gotten to attempt to prove the case is getting a known liar saying, "Hey, yeah, that's what this was for." But there's nothing to corroborate and give anything further than, yeah, that's what is going on here. Like, why should we believe what Conan says, honestly? He's a known liar. He admitted to lying. He's lied a bunch of times. Could be lying to you now. So it's just something that we need to really take into consideration. But we'll see. We'll see what happens Thursday. I got to figure out what to do for a show on Thursday morning, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I hope you all have a good day. And make sure you like and subscribe. Peace out. And I will see you later. Peace.